What exactly is supposed to be following you?
I don't know.
Just pass it along.
You believe me, right?
Nothing's gonna happen.
See? Everything's okay.
Is something wrong with me?
If it kills her, it goes straight down the line whoever started it.
It's gonna be here sooner or later.
Okay, It Follows. So, there's a lot to be said about it. It's a supernatural entity that follows you like an STD, and that you catch it from having sex, and you pass it on by having sex.
Yep.
But it's this sort of bizarre chain letter thing, like whoever you pass it on to will hopefully pass it on to someone else, because if that thing catches them and you're next on the list, you're back on the hook.
Yeah.
So cool idea, and the presentation of the movie is almost as if it was made in the 80s by John Carpenter, or somebody who was severely influenced by John Carpenter. And we've been seeing a lot of this in the age of like Stranger Things and nostalgia baiting type of movies. But in this one, I think it's done with purpose. And,
it's done deliberately.
And sort of reminding you, in a weird way, reminding you that you're in this sort of B-movie aesthetic is kind of part of the fun of the movie. But our main character finds herself in this position. She meets a boy that she likes. He seems a little bit strange. Goes to a movie theater, and he seems distracted, like he's always looking out for someone else over his shoulder, like his ex-girlfriend's gonna show up.
Yeah.
They end up in a parking lot in a car. They make love, and all of a sudden he puts some what do you call it, chloroform over her mouth, knocks her out. She wakes up and she's strapped to a wheelchair, and he unspools in a scene of complete, just story dump. This is your situation. I apologize for doing this to you. Do you see it? Do you see this thing coming towards you?
Yeah.
And from that moment on, we're locked into her perspective. And the first couple times she sees someone following her, like the old lady in the hospital gown in her school, we don't understand that she's the only person that can see it. It's sort of slowly unspooled to us.
Well, if you've been infected by it, you can still see it if it's not hunting you, but yes.
Yeah, nobody else in the hallway sees the old lady in the hospital gown, and she's calling out, and they're looking at her like she's crazy, and we have to do the math ourselves. And I kind of appreciated how it was handled. It's a cool concept for a movie, and we're introduced to a group of kids who first don't believe her, but then are put in a position where unquestionably she's telling the truth. They can't go to the authorities. What are they going to do about this supernatural curse? Mm-hmm. Such is the premise for It Follows, and I enjoy it a great deal. It maybe should have been in my top 30, but I have some issues with the third act, some choices made in the story in the third act. It was just enough of an excuse to keep it off the list, but I have a lot of respect for the movie. And it's not just about member berries. It's not just about, don't you like John Carpenter? Doesn't this remind you of other better movies? That it has its own story to tell and its own tricks to pull. So I am positive about this movie. It's just happened to come out in the middle of an incredibly thick decade of great horror movies. So that's where I start on It Follows. You selected it, Lee, so I will hand it over to you.
Yep. I love the script of this movie to begin with. I know that the writer and the director are the same. David Robert Mitchell, I think it is.
David Robert Mitchell.
It's his name. I never did see his sophomore effort. No, this is his sophomore effort. I didn't see his third one. I like the fact that we don't learn a lot about the rules of the creature, that a lot of things are pretty vague. I mean, there's enough laid out, for the universe for it to move. But I love the fact that it's smart enough to leave so many things sort of like open-ended.
Something will be following you. It might look like someone you know. It might not.
Yeah.
But it'll be walking. It'll be looking for you. And it's on the way.
Yeah. I would argue it's not a ghost, though. It's a demon, because it has to abide by the law of physics. Because you can put things over it. You can shoot and distract it. You can't kill it, obviously. At least not with a bullet to a head. But it does, it has to break a window to get into the house. So I don't think it's a ghost. I think it's a demon. And since it has to abide by the law of physics, you can also entrap it. So that is another way to sort of get around it. You wouldn't kill it, but if you set up some sort of cement or some unforceable steel that, you get around it, you could.
It also means you have to constantly be conscious of not boxing yourself in.
Yes, therein lies the rub.
Yeah.
This time I picked up a lot more sort of visual clues. Every time the red shows up in the movie, like it showed up enough that I thought, okay, there's something about this. Why is the filmmaker showing all this red? And it's a warning that the very next thing or the very close thing is that the creature's going to show up. I also clucked in a lot more. I remembered why there's such weird things about technology, because it has like those old phones from the 70s and 80s you'd have in the house. At the same time, one of the girls is using this e-reader. And I thought, is this something as well? That whenever the creature is, but whenever the old technology shows up, the creature kind of comes in. At one point, I thought it was sort of interdimensional, but no, it's just a filmmaking tactic by the director and the.
It's not 80s. It just feels 80s.
Yeah, but it's done to disorient the viewer. And he says this movie did come out of a dream. Surprise, surprise. So there's a sort of fever dream quality to it, And once again, all the actors are well positioned in this movie. Like it is well, once again, composition. I know I've used that word quite a bit in this show, but that everything, even when there's nothing to do with plot, there's something to look at and keep your brain stimulated. And I also appreciate that, because it is not a very, it does move, but it does take its time. This thing that, it can walk.
Well, and like so many movies of this decade, it's very much about its vibe and atmosphere.
Yeah.
It's almost as important as any other single element.
Yeah.
It's not an afterthought. Like the disturbing, the frightening, escalating, disturbing tone is the point.
Yeah. And it just winds up beautifully to me. As it progressed, I felt tighter and tighter and tighter and tighter. And I love the fact that it's not really a happy ending. That this is not going to end well for these two.
Well, it's certainly an uncertain ending. Certainly an uncertain ending. Can I say that?
Yep.
Ambiguity, I guess. They haven't solved the problem.
Yep.
Which, for me, might be a problem.
Okay, fair enough.
But to be continued. I want to hear what Dubray has to say.
Yeah, I like it a lot. I think I appreciated the technical qualities of it even more in this recent second watch. Also, you can watch, like revisiting a Carpenter movie, you see the stuff that's going on in the background. I noticed there's lots of scenes where in the background there's young people flirting with each other, which I thought was brilliant. It's, the spread of this virus or this demon could easily happen, and
it seems to be hitting her at the worst possible time in her life.
I don't know why though, and maybe it's because I knew I had to review it. I was fighting the movie. I was being nitpicky about a bunch of things that I just don't think would happen in reality. If I'm supposed to take this as a realistic movie, or am I not? They're trying to track down this boyfriend who's completely disappeared after this basically creepy kidnapping and then unloading all this stuff. And then they kind of figure out where he went to high school. They go to the high school and get all of his personal information. I work in a high school. a group of college-age people come to the main office and ask for stuff. We're not going to open up the. This is where this former student lives.
Which is fair.
I
There's
mean,
lots of
it's being really nitpicky
suspensions
though.
of disbelief in this B movie.
But it looks good, and I had a big thing about how great, especially the opening shot and the cinematography is. I have a little bit of. I used to like this. I first clocked this on with the TV show Breaking Bad that they would do this a lot. But the wheelchair cam during like the reveal scene annoyed me.
Into her? Yeah.
It really annoyed me. I mean, I'm supposed to be feeling all of this suspense, and I'm just like, why did you make that choice? I mean, like, why not? If you're gonna do that, maybe do just a straight point of view shot instead. But again, I don't know why I was fighting it as much. If I'm really, really invested in it, then I'm going to forgive all of its problems. Getting back to positives, uses silences so well. You know, it's built up, and the suspense is in the silence. I love when movies do this. I mean, I don't know how much we want to kind of spoil or ruin the end, but I mean, you know, that image, and I know, and you're maybe going to talk about the problems you have with the swimming pool climax. It is built up. The first shot we have is of our protagonist
floating in a pool.
Floating in a pool, so we know something's going to happen with that. That's not there by accident. But the image of the blood in the pool, it just looks amazing. There's so many professional, amazing looking things. I certainly would not give up on this director. But I just find myself a little bit more mixed. But I will revisit it. I will enjoy it. But it didn't make my list, and I'm not sure I was even going to consider it for my list. Sadly, I mean, top 50 easily, but
I weighed it for the list. Like, it was definitely under consideration, but it didn't quite make it. Yeah.
But I would recommend it to people and horror fans. Like, I would
get
not steer
its
anybody away
reputation,
from it.
and again, any other decade, it would be on the list and probably high. I also really like that they don't know what it will look like, but it can choose to look like someone they know. It's very sort of seeded, this whole, the father's not in the picture. There's photographs of him in the house, but we never see him. The
parents are nearly obsolete. We know narratively about the mother, but she's always off camera. The only time we ever really see her is when she's hugging her child at near the end of the movie.
But towards the climax, when it comes into the swimming pool, it's her dad, and they're asking her who it is, and she doesn't even want to answer, and it's so personal to her. Or the fact that it shows up stark naked a few times. Well, there's a sexual intent to it. You get it through sex, and it's implied that it kills you with sex. It fucks you to death, or some sort of supernatural equivalent of whatever that would be. But yeah, the old man stark naked standing on the roof of the house.
Well, it's the father, I think.
Yeah. Troubling. And because you never know what you're going to get, but sometimes they'll stand out in a crowd and sometimes you won't. It has you looking all over the screen, and the director knows that and uses it very well. On that level, the movie is impeccable. I do have issues with the third act. And I was talking with my buddy Matt about the movie The Ring.
Yep.
It's another curse movie. Hey, this is arguably a curse movie. And I said, I've got The Ring cracked, by the way, buddy. If I watch The Ring tape, I'm giving it to you, and you're going to watch it. And then you're going to give it to me a week later, and I'm going to watch it. And then I'm going to give it to you a week later, and you're going to watch it. And in between, we're going to make fun of Samar. Because we're not spreading her curse, but we're still showing her tape. And fuck you, right? Yeah. And ha, we had a good laugh about it. But, I mean, that didn't really occur to me until a decade or so after I'd seen the movie. Yeah. Right away with this movie, I saw tactics and decisions and things that they could do that do not equal this Scooby-Doo ending with a bunch of kids with electrical appliances breaking into this swimming pool, luring it into the middle of the water, I guess so they could see it. I guess was the idea when it was in the water they would be able to all clock where it was.
Oh, maybe. The plan is terrible.
It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make a little bit of sense. It is not the plan of a child. It is the plan of a stupid child.
Also, if you discovered you had this, would you get on a bike and go to the creepiest park possible?
By yourself?
Or go with a group to the lake?
Once again,
or,
fight or flight.
I mean, they don't know... I have to remind myself, they don't know they're in a horror movie.
Right.
I mean, they're experiencing something eventually where they're like, this is...
I'm not bothered with them going to the lake. They don't believe her yet at that point.
But what about her biking away like that and getting away from...
Fight or flight.
Yeah.
That's fight or flight.
And again, like, it would be a hard thing to wrap your head around and, like, make real for yourself. Mm-hmm. And she saw the tall man, boogeyman, in her house. The rest of them didn't. They just saw her freak out and flee the place. Mm-hmm. So I get her friends not believing her, but still being caring about her and wanting her to solve. But the choices that they make to do it, like, the one guy who's obviously in love with her offers to sleep with her, but she won't do that. But she will sleep with the hot guy across the street, who consequently is fucked to death by a supernatural visage of his mother. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Good times. That guy was actually in Beneath, that actor.
Yes, he was.
Fun fact.
And he was a decent
honestly,
guy, too. I mean,
they talk about going to a prostitute pretty early in the movie, but once you know for a fact, yes, you are being haunted by a supernatural rape demon, your options are get raped to death by the visage of your father, or take a road trip, sleep with a prostitute, keep going on that road trip, sleep with another prostitute, I don't know, fly to Honolulu if you can afford it, sleep with a prostitute, fly home, you're pretty good.
Yep.
Like, again, and like, it didn't take me years to come up with this conclusion, right?
Yep.
But you're a bunch of young college kids. I mean, they obviously have, some of them have some money, but it just...
The fact that it's a bunch of young college kids arguably makes it worse. If the solution is have lots of sex, young college kids, we're fine. Send them to the Piranha 3D movie and put them in an orgy and it's fine. Again, it's bad news. Somebody somewhere is going to be raped to death by this evil spirit, and that is not a good thing. But it is a very, very easy and available solution that gets talked about but not really used until the end of the movie for no other reason than they need the movie to continue. And for all the things they could come up with, it wasn't to try to confront the demon or exorcise it. It was this ridiculous pool plot. And it was entertaining and funny and inexplicable while I was watching it, but it dropped the movie down a level for me.
See, I bought what he was selling me with his comment that this is what kids would do to, come up with some sort of plan that they did not think about. I think as well, I mean, the movie is part homage, and I bought that. I mean, like I said, it's deliberately given a cheesy title called It Follows, and it's a love letter, much like Cabin in the Woods, that, yes, you can nitpick, if you wish, all, what doesn't work for the movie and how, this is not believable. I would argue at some point, and it doesn't always work with certain movies. Like, there's some movies where they're so bad that it just adds on top of I won't buy the leaps of faith that the movie wants me to ask.
Wouldn't it be nice, though, if the third act was as smart as the premise?
It is a good premise. I mean, and it plays on that idea, like the mythology around horror movies about the virgin is the survivor.
That's the only safe person, the person who doesn't have sex.
It still has that Republican don't have sex before marriage or sex is bad thing connected to it, but in a 21st century way. So I really want to love this movie, Lee. I really...
I'm not offended,
close, but I don't know why I was fighting it.
We're doing a top 30. It would probably be in the top 50 for me. It just didn't make the top 30.
Maybe
once
top
again,
40.
I want to shout out Disaster Piece.
The soundtrack.
Yeah.
The music's great,
Well, very much like an homage Carpenter-esque soundtrack.
And again, I love the vibe and the patience and having you looking in the background. You stop, in a way, it distracts you from the dialogue after a while. You're like, yeah, but keep an eye on your background, you guys.
Yeah, no, like you do actually pick up more of the creature with each viewing, I believe. But I do love the fact that they explores that whole panovision thing that Carpenter used to use with Halloween, and other filmmakers tried at some point. And it is to look at the sort of, what's provided in the background on how it comes sort of center stage or the foreground out of nowhere. I think at one point it does provide a jump scare or two.
But it's not reliant on it. It's like, this thing is coming and you don't know where and you don't know when. And
Yep.
that's the horror.
Yep.